Welcome to Moms Who Lead, where each week I talk to another mom who's balancing motherhood with a leadership role at work. Across industries, locations, and backgrounds, we're all facing the same challenges and opportunities. We talk about them here to help you balance your most important job with your career. So many of us have stories to share and advice to give. Be sure to click subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. And be sure to connect with me, Diana Mitchell, on LinkedIn. Now, on to the show. Hi, Cheryl. It's really nice to have Cheryl Ferrebee here. She is the brand marketing strategist at TGG Brand Marketing and Design. And Cheryl, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So nice to meet you. I've heard wonderful things. And to start things off, I'd like to just ask folks to tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and if you'd like to tell us a little bit about your kids.
Okay, terrific. Well, I actually own TGG Brand Marketing and Design. I worked for the company beginning in 2000 until 2002 as the vice president. I had the opportunity to purchase it as the owners were retiring. So I've been a business owner for a long time, and actually one of the reasons that I chose to become an entrepreneur, a business owner, was because at the time I had a small daughter, and in 2002, I had my second child, a son. So motherhood actually has propelled me through my career in a major way, because it was for them that I chose to take this path.
That's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. And what do you do at TGG? Do you work in certain verticals, or can you talk a little bit about that?
The things that I think I do best are business development I find new clients that match our organization. And I try to contribute to the projects, each of the projects that the team is working on. I think the best thing that I do sometimes, though, is just get out of the way, and let them do what they do very well, which is graphic design and marketing strategy, media strategy. I'm also a copywriter. I like to lead client sessions. I like to learn about various businesses. That's one of the big benefits of being an entrepreneur in marketing. You get to meet so many very interesting people. Yeah. So I love that. So interestingly, many of the people that I employ, not intentionally, but it just so happens, they're women and they're moms. And so we've always had, motherhood has been, really, really at the center of my organization.
Oh, I love that. And it's funny how it's like we're all just drawn to each other, right? I worked in agencies for many years, so I know, and many years before I was a mom. And I was speaking to actually my former boss a few weeks ago, and she wasn't a mom, and yet she had this culture of moms, and how it's funny how much we learn from our colleagues. And I think it's really interesting that for you, the impetus, or at least a driving factor for you to become an entrepreneur, was so that you could have a better life for your kids. And can you elaborate a little bit on that? Was it balance, or what do you think how do you think entrepreneurship empowered you as a mom too?
So I worked for a major company when I had my first daughter, my first child, my daughter. And I won't use their name because everybody will know who they are. But I had returned from maternity leave. And actually, I've been cleaning out, but I don't know if you can see this. This is a photo of me, my first day back from maternity leave with my child. And I remember thinking, when my husband was taking this photo, I wanted to cry. But I remember thinking, I have to smile, because years from now, my daughter will be looking at this, and I want her to know that whatever choices she makes, it's okay, So not long after I returned to this large corporation, I had to go to a seminar, and it took me away from my child, who was still very tiny. And I remember calling my husband. And I loved my job, and the company was terrific. But I called my husband and I said, I'm not doing this again. I'm going to have to find another way. And so I went to work for this small family-owned organization, which I ended up purchasing because they too were it's family owned, their kids were there, their grandkids were there. I just loved it, and it worked out. And I was very blessed to be able to have the opportunity to, continue that culture when I purchased it. So even today, as we transition to older parents, I'm now an empty nester, as are, my colleagues. And, as they transition into that, we have to go look for colleges, days off, not a problem. So-and-so sick, it's okay. And because I created a virtual environment many years ago, that too, you're accessible. I think that's half of the battle, isn't it? If you're in an office away from your child, that's tough. That's, for me personally, and for the people with whom I work, that was a really tough bridge. So we are very flexible. If so-and-so has a college visit, or a sick child, or a child that needs them for any extracurricular activities, we've always accommodated that. So the other moms or colleagues, fill the gaps while that parent is doing their most important job.
Yeah. I think it's something you said a few minutes ago is really powerful, how in that photo with your daughter, you felt the pressure of not wanting her to carry any sort of burden or expectation if and when the time comes for her, and she's in a similar situation. And I think that moms and parents in general, but especially moms, we carry that, and we think ahead like that. We think to our children and down the line, and we think about our younger women in our organization and what they're going to have to bring. There's such a recurring theme in these interviews that I've done of people who understood that they were kind of blazing new trails or setting precedents for other people. And I think that's really powerful, and that awareness, because I know how, I think most of us who are listening know how you feel with that crushing feeling inside. Or I recently had to travel. It was one of the first times I've had to travel because my daughters lived almost entirely during the age of COVID, but so I've been home. Oh, yeah. But I had when we had that nice little slice in the summer of normalcy before things got bad again, I traveled, and it was the first time I traveled, and I had to excuse myself at dinner so I could say goodnight, and tough things like that. And it's hard. And I think that acknowledging some of those emotional difficulties is important, because people feel like they're failing if they feel that way. Like, it's okay to love your job and also, cry or feel guilty a little bit when you leave too. We all do. It's part of the juggling of responsibilities and doing it all. And, you mentioned that earlier, in the beginning there, when your daughter was born, that you had this amazing supportive organization, but that you still felt that way. Do you think that you were in a leadership role then?
Yes. Yes.
Do you think that it would have been different for you if you were earlier in your marketing career? Do you think there were any benefits or advantages that happened because you were in a more senior role?
Definitely. And that was very intentional. At least in my market, when I began my career, sales, that was a big part of it, outside sales or media sales, which is how I met our mutual friends. But for me, that was the path that I took, and it was very exciting, but a lot of time on the road, it's very physically demanding too. Right? Getting in and out of cars, on planes, whatever that
and having
takes.
to be on, sales is very draining. It's presenting like all, you have to be on. Oh gosh. I worked in radio sales for a while, so I know how that feels.
Yes, exactly. It's very exhausting. So I remember thinking, I don't want to have children when I'm still doing this. Because I admire the women who continued and are very excellent in that position and have done well for themselves as sales representatives for their various entities. But I remember thinking I wanted to be in a position where I had more vacation time, which comes with the higher managerial roles, and having an office. So I didn't have to travel a lot. Yeah, the organization that I work for has a reputation as being very family friendly, but it's still at that point, be in the office 9 to 5. not the degree of flexibility, certainly that we can realize as entrepreneurs. For sure.
Yeah. And particularly in 2020 versus, 20 years ago, it really was different. The expectations and what's afforded to employees for a lot of organizations. I'm not speaking for everyone. So all of you out there who are like, yeah, I wish, I get that, because I know that there's still a lot, unfortunately, a long way to go. But actually, yes. Speaking about who introduced us, Amy, whose episode should have aired a few weeks before this one, she spoke about how she had support, like when she had a sick child, like it was hush hush though, like go out the back door. Like those days are gone now,
yes.
Isn't that a shame? It's a shame that she had to go through that, but yet a way, I think those things have made more empathetic leaders because they don't want their staff to go through that. It's powerful.
Exactly. I really, really hope so. In terms of, a support network, I can't say enough about my husband. He's a pharmacist, so he had days off during the week, and it was so great. Like, he loved it. He was like all about the diaper changing and bathing and feeding and going to the park. I mean, I would be really remiss if I didn't, say that he enabled me to buy this company. Because he's there hands-on very much. And we had a caregiver who's like basically part of our family. Like if there's a holiday, like she's coming over, her husband's coming, her daughter's coming. It became very much a village kind of approach to raising children. But yeah, I am excited by what I see and working with my clients, many of whom are mothers. Of course, yay, like to work with those women in leadership roles who are moms and those who aren't moms, all people, all women. But I'm excited about the stories that they're sharing, about the flexibility that their companies are now affording. And these are, larger organizations. So it's great. It's certainly changed a lot. I agree with Amy.
And, as a mom-led organization, when you can relate to clients in that way and, share those stories and people freely talk about these things, it also helps you build stronger client relationships, right? Because when the client knows that you understand them and their challenges and vice versa, it just builds stronger relationships all around. So I think that, again, like taking that taboo nature off talking about raising kids and working, ripping that off has been huge because now, especially with these Zoom calls, the first thing we do is talk about our kids, and that's a good thing. Or the embarrassment. I know early in the pandemic, folks felt embarrassed if their kids came into the room, and we all saw those funny news stories of like kids running in. And now it's like people get excited, like, let me see your kid. And I love that because I've always been like you, I'm kind of a writer by trade, and then I kind of just ascended into marketing naturally. But like, I love getting to know people on that level. I love looking in the background. And I was on a call the other day and someone had a little baby Yoda, Grogu from the Mandalorian. And we talked for 5 minutes about that. Like, I think that there's so much power in being able to relate to one another in business, that it's a superpower and not an Achilles heel, for sure.
I totally, absolutely agree. I like to hear, my daughter works for a large financial organization here in West Virginia, and her boss went on maternity leave, had a baby 2 weeks ago. And my daughter was sharing with me that not only does her boss have terrific maternity leave, but her boss's husband, his company also allows, 3 weeks for maternity leave. So yay.
Yes.
Making valuing both parents in the relationship, I think, is an exciting thing to see as well.
Do either of your kids work in marketing?
Actually, my daughter's degree is the same as mine, but she went on to get her MBA. She is in an executive training program for banking, but she does have aspirations to work in the marketing department of the organization for which
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I feel like marketing really runs in families, like teachers, doctors, and marketing for whatever reason.
Yeah, my son, though, takes after my husband, and so he's in an engineering curriculum
that's great.
At school. So yeah.
Well, you must be so proud. That's wonderful.
I am. It's the empty nest thing is really tough.
Yeah. Oh, I can't imagine. I have a 17-year-old stepson, and we're getting ready. And this is very challenging for me because I've been in his life since he was 8. And then my daughter's 3. So I'm at like both ends of the spectrum. I'm getting there. It's really an interesting place to be in, but wonderful, wonderful.
Yes.
Was there a moment where, for whatever reason, you had to leave work or go to an event, or where you as an entrepreneur felt like, this is why I built my company this way, because you were able to be there for whoever you needed to be for without blinking? Did you ever have an aha moment like, yes, this is why I did this?
Oh, definitely. When my daughter was looking for a college, there's so much, you have the FAFSA, the college visits, the ACT exams, filling out all the paperwork, and then call it campus tours. Definitely, because that's such an important moment in time. So I was really grateful to my colleagues and even to my clients who understood, and they shared the excitement, when I would tell them,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to be out for the next 2 days going on a college visit, and like, oh my goodness, where is she looking, so sharing those life experiences, those the stepping stones is important. But yeah, definitely during the college time, because it's way more time consuming than you imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there anyone, either as an entrepreneur or earlier in your career, who kind of served as that mentor that gave you an idea, okay, this is the kind of leader I want to be, particularly when it comes to balancing parenthood and work?
Well, I mean, Amy is my constant. Oh, wow. She juggled twins. Like, hello, first time mom is one thing. And then, having twins. So she kind of side by side, she had her twins. Gosh, I think it's not quite a year. Yeah. So it was less than a year after I had my daughter.
Oh.
And so a constant source of, ideas, motivation, yeah, definitely. She's my role model.
Well, that's awesome. And again, for listeners, that's Amy Parker and her episode. You can find that a few episodes prior, because she's great. I completely agree. I was motivated. I'm a twin myself too, so I know how challenging that is. Yeah, my brother works in pharma, ironically. So yeah, no, we don't have a marketing gene in my family, but ironically. But yeah, that's wonderful. That's really great. And circling back to TGG and what you're doing there, are you hiring, or is there anything you'd like to do to take a moment to do a shout out, and please use the floor for your company? Are there any ideal clients that you'd like to look for? And then, if there's anything that you'd like to tell us again about the culture that you've created there, I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, we definitely put at the center of our work culture relationships with our family, relationships with each other. We seek clients who not only value brand marketing and design, but also who really have at their core respectful communication habits. I want to work with people who, when there's a controversy or when there's a tough problem to solve, will do so professionally and with consideration for other people's feelings. I'm not a big fan of drama. And so we're very fortunate. We have some terrific clients in travel and tourism, financial management. We've done a lot in manufacturing, which for some strange reason, I find incredibly fascinating, the manufacturing industry. So I would love to have another manufacturing client. We would love a graphic design resource. We've had some changes in our staff recently, and graphic design partnerships, employees are very high on the list of things that we would like to add to the group. We would like to, do more work for foundations and for people who are making a difference in their community. I actually told somebody that last night. And they got the spark in their eye. So I look for, some nonprofits to be coming our way. And I hope so, because that's worthwhile. It's all worthwhile work. but there's something extra special about supporting organizations that are doing good in their community and even across the country.
Totally. And what we do as marketers, we have, and I'm not trying to sound conceited, but whatever, in marketing, we have this incredible power to connect people and to reach so many people and, all these tools in our arsenal. And when you can put these superpowers to good and do something meaningful, I completely agree. Because look, we all see the best and worst, particularly online and social media. And if we can contribute to the best, that's an amazing feeling, isn't it?
It really is. In fact, I had a dinner with a client last night and I said, that's one of my favorite things about the job is introducing person A to person B. They hit it off and great things happen. Like, wow, I love that. I really do.
That's wonderful.
I love our company's creativity, how we put relationships at the very core of everything that we do, and just constantly look for ways, new ideas to help our clients succeed in their individual marketplaces. So
that's great. So if someone wants to learn more about TGG, what's your website URL?
tggbrainmarketinganddesign.com. Yeah.
Great. And if someone wants to connect with you, can they reach out to you maybe on LinkedIn or?
Oh, yes, I am on LinkedIn. Love connections on LinkedIn.
Awesome. And I'll spell your last name. It's in the show notes too, but it's Ferrebee, right?
Correct.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. This has been great. I appreciate your candor and just talking to us a little bit about your experience, because I think that all of our journeys are so unique. And if we can give a little bit of inspiration to someone out there who may be having a hard time or is looking for what's next, then I feel like this show has done its job. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for sitting in with us this week. My hope is that you feel supported, understood, and heard. I appreciate that you took the time to be here. Let me send a quick shout out to our subscribers who join me here every week. I am so honored. And if you haven't already, be sure to connect with me on LinkedIn. My URL is linkedin.com/in/Diana Mitchell 716. Take care out there, everyone.